Hey guys, so I'm here today. I just bought an X5 BMW beater. Essentially, it's a 2013, about 70,000 miles. I was kind of looking for a work vehicle. My truck was, it's a diesel, it was heavy duty, just not enough gas mileage to go on a lot of sales appointments, put on 30, 40,000 miles a year. I was just wasting just fuel cost, right? So I had a budget of about $15,000 to buy a work vehicle, and I kind of settled on maybe a Toyota Camry or an Avalon. I wanted a V6, right? And everything I was finding at the time was 13, 14,000. Then I found this guy, right at 15 grand, and had about the same amount of miles. It's got just about 80,000 miles on it. It was in the white that I liked. It is a little bit newer. I did some research. It's got the newer iDrive in it. It's got the CSC nav. It had the leather. Pretty much, I didn't see any of the issues on the engine for it. So someone had already put the M Sport package on it, so it's got M wheels, even though they're kind of corroded, not very good. So I'll probably paint them or powder coat them, or maybe just replace them. Who knows? But I put new tires on it. Change out some of the reflectors to white reflectors just because I like them better, the clear ones. But I wanted to update it and give it a better look, because before I purchased this one and I was kind of narrowing down whether I wanted an SUV or car, I drove a lot of vehicles and I really liked the X5. However, I drove it in 2016 and I almost bought it. And the payments would have been about the same, but it would have been at 84 months instead of like 60 months. And I just didn't want, for a work vehicle, I didn't want to spend that extra money. I got most of my money tied up in my truck right now. So I found this guy. I thought it was a good kind of in-between, right? And I wanted to look like the newer one. So what I did is I went and bought the AVINUSA head unit. Now these are the new Android head units. There's a lot of unbranded ones. One's from China. Oh, they're all practically from China. Who am I kidding? But the Avon was US based, their support was US based, they answered very quickly, they answered in English, not broken or anything. I really liked them. I emailed them a couple times, 2-3 weeks in advance, just to kind of get an idea whether I was going to do this or not. They responded really well. I give them props. I can't really say maybe technical, I haven't gotten any issues to see if they can help me that way, but as far as speccing it out, they were nice. They didn't try to upsell me or anything. So I have the three-way camera on it underneath the mirrors. I have the backup camera. I have the CSC nav, and I have the top hi-fi music system or sound system with the Logic 7 amp. That is the unbranded one, not the Harman Kardon one. So, anyways, they said all I really needed was a GPS splitter, or I'd have to buy another GPS antenna. I bought it, $16 upgrade. Right about the same time I was looking, they had just brought out the 4G model. And I'm kind of glad that it's gone through several years of iterations. The first couple years didn't look like it was very good. It didn't work well, buttons were issues, but it looks like the last gen and maybe this gen, there aren't any issues with it. The iDrive button, for the most part, works on a lot of the normal features. There might be some things that it doesn't work, but for the most part, navigating, it works. It's functional enough. I plan on using the iDrive 20% of the time, and the Android half, about 80. So that's kind of why I went with the 4G. I need Google Maps. I need Waze. I want like Audible, couple maybe Google Play, stuff like that. That because I drive a lot, those are the apps I use all the time while I'm driving. Right. I have my Amazon Kindle. I don't read while I'm driving, but I download the Audible and listen to the Audible book while I'm driving. So for the most part, I think most of the time I'll be in the Android side of it. And just switch over. Now I'm hoping, and they said that the Bluetooth and the phone functionality will still work through my iDrive. I hope I don't have to flip over, and I can just set it in a setting to say, phone calls will automatically order from the or answer from the iDrive. Because that's the biggest thing, is I don't want to put an external mic in. I think the mic that I currently have, everyone says it works pretty good, that's built into it, so I want to keep that function. What I didn't like in this, and this is why I'm upgrading that, because I want some of the newer functionalities, but I also don't like the voice with the current component system. So I'm going to be doing a second video where I'm upgrading all the door speakers. Not all 7 speakers. I'm just doing the door speakers and adding in some two-way fill speakers or I think they call them fill speakers, but just 4-inch speakers to the doors. And then I'm also going to be upgrading the subs to the Earthquake. So I didn't want to go put like a 10-inch kicker or, you know, JBL or JL audio in the back. I decided right now to just upgrade the stock one, see how it feels. I don't need a lot of bass. I do like having a little bit more than stock. It is pretty good stock compared to other stock radios, but I wanted a little bit more, right? So without further ado, let me go ahead and open up this AVINUSA head unit to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. I wanted it to look like the new F15s that I test drove. I like the looks of them. So I went ahead and bought this, and it's pretty close. So here is the head unit, right? And this head unit will kind of bolt right in. Let me see if I can see this, right? It is flush. It should take up right. It should meet the other trim pieces, and you'll never see anything behind it. I've already wrapped mine with carbon fiber a little bit, so I'm not going to see the silver trim that mine has very much, but there are some that have silver trims. I could not find the silver trim around here, the bezel around it, with the upgraded processor, RAM, and the 4G. So this is an Octa-core model with 4 gigabytes of RAM. I wanted to make sure I got the extra gigabytes of RAM. If you ever use a Kindle or some of the cheaper tablets, 1 or 2 gigabytes worth of RAM on those tablets, they're not fast. It's not enough. You need a little bit more. 2 is usually okay. 1.5 is definitely not enough. So I opted to go with the 4 gig model, spend a little bit more. It's like $50 more to go that route. And then it's about another 50 or 60 to add the 4G on. I think I'm pretty happy with it. Overall, it cost me about $500. Yeah, just under $500, I think, because it was $389 with the $50 and $60 upgrade. It came out to like $489 or $499, something like that. With taxes, it was like $503. So I'm very happy with this so far. The quality feels pretty good. The Avin one, as you can see, it's a little bit hard to see. Let me see if I can get this. Right here, the sticker, it does have Avin, so it looks like they're at least taking it apart and rebranding and restickering it for themselves. They're even putting a North American sticker on here to say that it was made in North America, I'm assuming. However, we all know it's made overseas. Maybe it's not, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the older ones were confirmed that they were rebranded. I don't care, as long as it works. And I can return it if I have any issues. So I'll go ahead and start getting this get you guys set up inside, get the trim popped off. It looks pretty easy to replace. It does come with a really nice wiring harness, right? This is just about everything, right? Not sure why I got this speaker, and I'll have to figure out what it's for. But they gave me GPS unit. They gave me everything. And, wow, I actually didn't pay for all this extra stuff. So I only paid for the GPS splitter, not a new GPS antenna. I'm pretty sure this is probably for Bluetooth or some type of speaker door chime. This guy right here. This guy right here actually has, that's where you're going to put the MOS or the fiber optics. On mine has the fiber optics, so I'm going to have to move these over. But other than that, you're going to wire it. Let's see what else we got in here. Oh, there's my GPS splitter. And then I got some other cables in here, antennas. It looks like these are just, from what I'm reading on the, when I was watching installs, I won't be using most of these. Most of these are going to be if have a different system, or if I want like to add the aux and the extra USB ports, because there's one in the glove box and there's one in the center console. I'll probably hook up one of them. I don't think I'm going to probably hook up both of them. Normally these USB connectors are extra, at least when you first look at them, so they must have just gave me everything, and I'm not going to complain. Well, let me go ahead and get inside. Hey, so I'm in here. I don't have a lot of experience pulling dashes apart on BMWs. So this will be interesting. I think the first thing we do is we pull this guy off. I think it just pops off. I have some trim tools. I've glanced at a couple other people's videos for like the cars, not the SUV. I'm assuming they all do about the same thing. We'll find out here in a moment. I know that these side ones kind of just pop off. I did put some wrap in here. You can make fun of it if you want. I don't mind. It's kind of bad in here. I need better relief cuts. But for the most part, it's okay. I'll probably redo it at some point or have someone professionally do it. But I had this laying around, and I liked it a lot better than the silver. So I guess without further ado, let me try to get this off. I just lost an Oh Jesus clip. Let's hope it didn't break anything. I don't see anything really broken there. Yep, just an Oh Jesus clip. Pretty happy about that. Like I said, haven't really tore one of these apart. So let's get these unhooked. Got a couple wires here that looks like you're going to be able to pop out pretty easily. And they're all color coded too. So white plug goes in the white connector, black connector goes in there. Yeah, everything comes out pretty easy. Let's put that guy over there. Okay. Now, you're never supposed to do that, especially with a drill driver. But I'm lazy, so I'm going to do it with a drill driver. Don't tell anybody. Make things easier, it's about right here at the groove is where the pin is. Great thing, all the screws so far that I've taken out are all the same. I believe this guy just rolls out. There we go. And hardly has anything. We got the purple one. And if you look, there's this little plug right here. And then these guys should pop right out. Okay, so let's take a quick glance at what this is going to look like in here, right? There is not a whole lot up here, but we got to wire this harness from here up to here, and at the same time we have to pull out these two fiber optic cables right here. They're a green one and a black one. We got to pull them out, relocate them into the other harness. Essentially before we start moving these guys. But let's go ahead and see how she looks. Right, she will slide in top first. And obviously I didn't get that right. There we go. And, you know, just sitting there before I do anything, that looks pretty sweet. Not gonna lie, that does look pretty sweet. Now, if you do what I just did, is you'll go get this harness, you'll try to plug everything in, and you'll try to plug everything in, and nothing is labeled in the back of this guy. So I got a couple ports here, right? Not labeled, no idea what they're for, right? And there are no instructions in the box. So, because there's no instructions in the box, and there's nothing labeled on here, right? These have some labels on them, right? 1 key, 2 key, line 1, can 1. Don't really know what everything is on here. I'm going to have to go get the directions. Now, the directions don't come in the box. They email them to you. So, I'll be right back. Okay, so I've had all night to kind of look at it, look up, should I say, instructions, things like that, review them. So this is kind of the part that's a little sketchy. They kind of gloss over how to actually hook up the wiring and what parts are necessary and what parts aren't necessary. So I'm going to try to do this, and then I'll let you guys know which one, what we do and don't need. So there's a couple wires that I just don't think I need, maybe because I have the top hi-fi instead of the hi-fi system. And I'm not using any of the remotes that are on it. So I don't have any amplifiers or anything other than the built-in Logic 7 amplifier, which all should run off the iDrive and the stereo, which this should all feed back in through. So I'm hoping that works. As far as all those plugs down here at the bottom, right, we have the iDrive, which is the dark purple, the light purple, the black, and the white. I'm going to plug all back in. I couldn't find any reference to them anywhere, so I'm going to plug them back into the stock unit. However, the blue one, and let's hope they're color coordinated, the blue one appears to be the GPS antenna. So I have the splitter for it. The splitter cable is a blue connector, should I say, so it looks like it matches. It comes with the antenna, is the other piece on the back of here. It's covered with the little cap, right? So one of these is going to be the GPS antenna. The other green one, they should color cord this, by the way. It'd make it so much nicer. But this teal green plug right here is going to be for your iDrive. The cap right here is going to be, I think, for your regular FM radio. And then the third green plug in here is going to be for GPS. Now also on the back here, I have the main plug, and then I have a couple extra plugs. These extra plugs, I don't think I actually need. And then I'm also going to try installing it without the aux speaker that they gave this little speaker. Here, let me show you what it is. This guy, and I think this is so that you can get navigation commands while in the Android mode, not while you're in the iDrive mode. So, and that would be stock through Google Maps. I can't believe that it won't feed back in through anyways through the speakers. So I'm going to unplug this and not use it, and it's pretty easy to get back in there if I need to. So if it is, I'm going to just take it back apart and put it back in. The other option, the other thing that I did see was, and it always says if, which is I think is odd. There's an aux in and an aux out plugged in together. And they say if you don't have any stereo that you have to unplug them and then run the aux cable all the way back into your glove box and then hook a wire in through that. I think it's odd. I don't know why, and I'll try to see if I can rectify that, and hopefully I don't need that. I can leave them plugged in together. So let me get this set back up so we can take a look in here, and let me finish this up. Okay guys, so here's what I was talking about. I pulled all these wires off when I first got started. Right, it looks like the only thing I'm going to be using is this blue cable. We're going to be popping out these green wires, this green and black. These are the fiber optic cables. There's these little connectors here on the side. They secure it. They'll pop right out. Should pop right in. Other than that, this cable from up top is your iDrive. So that's what we'll be using to connect back in. I'm not real sure where I'm going to put some of these ancillary things, such as the antenna. I don't know if I care to use the radio on the Android side of the house, or if I can just switch back and use the iDrive. That might be one of these things where I decide not to use it and just continue using the iDrive. My primary concern, I think, like I said, other than the maps and some of the apps on the Android side of the house, I like the iDrive. I think I'm going to keep it as maybe the primary for some of the stock functions. So without also, and this guy, so this is one of the plugs that goes into the back of the head unit here. This has all my aux, my video in, DVR in, things like that. I think these are all ancillaries, especially with the mic. These are all going to be if you have an external mic. These are not any of the built-in items that BMW has. These are all going to be ancillaries. This might be if like you have the base model head unit in your BMW and not the top hi-fi. You may need to use some of these. Unfortunately, I don't have that to work through. As far as the video that's in and the cameras and stuff like that, I think that's all if you have to add a backup camera, or if you're adding the front camera. I don't think that has anything to do with the built-in iDrive stuff. From what I got on the original email from that, these guys, this thing will utilize all the existing iDrive stuff without having to put any of the extra connectors on. So I'm not even going to plug that in. Now we have these guys. You have your line in. I'm not using the line in, right? Let me see. This guy, ACC, right? The power. I don't have any extra amps. All my stuff's going to be built in. So these are all auxiliary stuff. I'm assuming these X1 keys, that is going to be for... I have no idea what that's for. I couldn't find a plug to match it. I think this is if like you have a an amplifier, and these are going to be your high lines in. That's the only thing I can think of. I'm not an audio recorder or an audio installer. On this side of the house, this is what's going to plug into my screen. All these guys, rear camera, this yellow one, rear camera, the camera 12 volt, the camera turn on, all that. I believe that's if you buy their reverse camera. Like I said, I asked them about it, and they said everything should function in the iDrive system and utilize it. So these guys are just going to essentially get taped up, and I'm just not going to use them. As well as this guy right here. I am not going to use this speaker, so
I may hate that decision and have to turn this all back, pull this all back apart, but oh well. I really wish that if this is the case and I don't need to use that, or it looks like there's a speaker right here. Why couldn't they just provide a splitter right here? That's all we really needed. Otherwise, you have all this extra cord that is pretty much useless. And I'm sure I could probably cut those wires and get this fed in and work, but I'll see how I like it without doing any of that first. And then here we go. Here is the GPS splitter. I'm going to plug this in first so I don't mess that up. Okay. They said you just run this up through the center here. That way you can plug it in. So this was originally plugged into my head unit, my screen. I can't find any plug for it. I have no idea how it plugs in. I'm hoping that they essentially unwire this down here in the harness and that it now is this guy. So I don't know what this is for now anymore. I keep chuckling because honestly, you just don't know. I'm not going to install the radio. I'm going to use the stock radio. So let's do our first one. So our first one is going to be the navigation splitter. First one's going to be the navigation splitter. See if I can get that a little bit better for you. It'll be on the left side. These are not color coordinated. There we go. Let's see, can I spin this out anyway? No, we're going to stick it that way. And then we have my iDrive, and it looks like both of these face in, so at least I got the connectors right. There we go. Got my iDrive, got that here. Now we're ready to plug in some ancillary stuff. I think, like I said, it's going to be one plug. Everything's plugged in. Okay. Hey guys, so I ran into some issues here, and I got them fixed. So I'm going to bring the camera in here. I missed my iDrive button once I got this plugged in, everything started working. I don't have the aux hooked up yet, so the aux is, I'm going to run it down through the side here. I pulled off the carpet piece, not the trim piece. I couldn't get the trim piece off, so the carpet was easier. I'm going to run it down along here. There's a couple pop pins that hold this in, a screw, and then it slides out right here. There's like some little feet that hook in, and then this carpet piece right here, it slides as well. I think my battery's dying on my light a little bit. So you slide that out, then there is a nice hole that comes in right through here, and we'll be able to plug that aux in right there. So back to the head unit. Sorry for the light. Let me see if I can just turn this off and maybe it'll be okay. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be okay. So this thing moves around just fine. We can go across, go up, down, not a big deal. Up into my radios. You know, like I said, the selection button works great. Yes, we're on part of the coronavirus pandemic that we're having. If I go to the nav, now my nav, I have it preset for Google instead of the iOS. I think there's a factory setting to get out of that. You hold menu, you can cut, it'll bring you back to this navigation, right? No big deal. Let me see if I do a double nav, what happens? Nope. If I hold nav, nope. If I hit menu, it comes back to here. So let's see if we can get into my file system and see which one. I don't think I want iOS. I mean, I actually kind of want my nav. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. So let's see if I can find it in my settings. My factory settings. 2846. These have a couple codes that you have to use. Let me see. We're going to put the aux back on. Remember last mode, Android, DVR, Bluetooth amplifier. Camera. No, it doesn't. Map keep selection. So I can use my car nav. I think is probably what that will do. So let's go back to radio. Now we're at radio. If I hit nav, nice. Nav goes to my car nav. Okay, everybody, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of my new screen. I think it looks great. You know, this really fits in, makes it look like the F15. You know, it sounds great. Everything automatically switches back to iDrive every time I want to use it. You know, all the buttons, you know, up, down, left, right, everything works. Everything automatically goes back to where it was originally. You know, if you touch the screen, it goes to the Android. You can get the apps that the screen I was just on. You can get the dash. This works without having to do hardly anything to it. There is a torque module that you can add and then watch the torque app on here if you really wanted to. You know, right here, this will go back to the iDrive again. Right. I don't really plan on pairing much of this. The Bluetooth and everything, I don't plan on pairing that because I'm going to download the music apps right to here and just use my 4G SIM card. So other than that, here's a quick little rundown of to the left and the right. So here's the right view, upper view. It's got a really clean finish. You know, that's about all, folks. Stick around. I'm about ready to go through all the mistakes I made, all the do's and don'ts. That way you guys don't have to do the same, go through the same thing that I went through, especially like scratches. See you in a sec. Hey guys, just wanted to recap on some things that I had some issue with, just to touch base with, you know, because the directions aren't very clear a lot of times. One, they don't tell you how to wire, what connectors to plug in. They just say this is the wiring harness. Make sure to, you know, plug in these two different things. They talk about the iDrive plug, and they talk about the
aux cable, where you got to actually run the aux cable. So the biggest thing is the Android head unit. The Android half of it runs off of your iDrive aux input. So you got to run a cable down through your trim. I went through the carpet piece because it was much easier to get to and through than trying to pull off the plastic trim piece. I got it up into the console. I ended up right beside the cigarette lighter, is kind of indented in the center console. I drilled a hole, popped it out, plugged it right into it. It's really nice, and it doesn't span the whole center console. Next item is wiring harness after it's in the back, right? So a lot of the plugs you don't actually mess with. You're going to mess with the blue GPS plug and the dark purple iDrive plug. The rest of those ones that plug in the back of the CD-ROM you're going to put them back on. They stay there. Your wiring harness, right? The OEM one. You're going to have to take off the wrap a little bit, so you need to be able to separate the wires out. That makes it so that it's just not this big ball of wiring and then two giant plastic pieces there where the harnesses connect. Otherwise, those giant plastic pieces makes it so that there's not enough room behind the CD-ROM drive to push it the whole way in. I kept getting within about an inch, and it took me a while to figure out how to fix it. So I unwrapped it. I shoved the wrap down and opened it up. I basically separated the fiber optic cable from the other harness, and it made it so that I can separate them out. Put the CD-ROM drive in pretty easy. Second thing is that I found out, if you are having trouble, cover all your trim. I scratched the hell out of mine. I'm going to have to wrap it. And I thought I was being pretty careful, but I guess I wasn't. So I'm a little upset. I scratched right on top of my cup holder area. When you're wiring from the harness up to the screen, instead of just going straight up through the area where it looks like you can get behind everything, you actually have to start on either the left or right, feed it up underneath the vents, and then come to the center, and then you can feed it on there's a big opening spot for wiring in the middle of these vents going up underneath the screen. Other than that, everything kind of really went in really easy. This is not a hard job to do. I chose the 9.0 Android head unit. I'm primarily using it as a newer, fresher iDrive screen, and I kind of want a couple of the Android apps on there. I'm not making it so I'm primarily Android. I'm really just trying to update the look of my iDrive, and I think it works wonderful so far. All the buttons work. Any button that you touch if you're an Android automatically switches back to the iDrive system. Phone calls. I haven't tried my backup. My cameras are still here. I'll try that in a little bit, and I'll update this if it doesn't work. Other than that, though, I'm about to start refreshing the rest of this. I'm just really trying to bring the X5 kind of up to 2020. So I'm going to be refreshing some of its speaker system. I'm going to keep the Logic 7 amp. I'm going to add some two-way speakers in here, leave the tweeters, and then I'm going to update the subs to the Earthquake subs. I really feel like those little pieces will really refresh the center or this X5. And then I'm just going to do a couple like office items that I'm going to end up adding to this, right? Just convenience items. Cigarette lighters, I'm not a smoker, so most of them I'm going to switch to the USB plug, where actually you take out the cigarette lighter and you replace it with a dual USB plug. And then I'm going to take out the center console. There's a spot underneath it, or I might not even take it out. I'm probably gonna have to take some pieces out, but I'm gonna put a little like 400 watt inverter in there and like a NEMA AC plug, NEMA 515 in there. I'll probably replace the cigarette lighter because there's two of them back there on either side. Probably replace one of them with another USB, and I might replace another one with a NEMA 515 if I can find the right plug. I found one, and I'll have to use a Dremel and kind of cut out the cigarette lighter, and I don't know if I want to hurt it that much, but we'll see. When I make the video, I'll let you know. So next coming up is going to be the Earthquake. I'll be taking out the seat, putting in the Earthquakes. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.